Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer1745, and we're playing Black Ice. Yes, back in Black Ice. You can sort of play in your head the AC/DC song. I wish YouTube didn't have rules. I would not just want to play that at the start. That would be great. No, can't do that. Let's see if that ever did, even though oh, there we go. Now we have 4 units to spare. Right. Yes, I got rid of the transport squadron. Now, I don't know. I don't know if anybody can answer this now or later in the, not that somebody has to go find out, but what do these represent? 18. Is that 18 aircraft? Which is sort of what I would expect, but I don't know. What, is this 4 aircraft? Where's Hitler's aircraft? And maybe that's sort of what they're sort of expecting. It seems awfully small numbers. To me. And I come over here and 3 factories. Okay, to me, 1 factory should be able to make it an aircraft. And, well, to me, a factory, would have like a production line. And so, yeah, starting, you don't necessarily make 1 aircraft in a day. But production rate, to me, with 3 of them, should be more than 1.6 a week. And we see we're mostly, caught up in efficiency of production. I get like, oh, hey, guys, stop, hold the presses. We're going to build an all new everything aircraft, all completely new. And take a long time or just we're building a new factory. Get everybody worked up. I get the idea of either, adjustments, upgrades, that are minor or major, taking a while to spool up. But something that is mostly spooled up with 3 factories, that just seems awfully slow. That just to me, and I mean, there may be very good defenses and reasons for it, but I don't know. Hey, Ari. Yeah, 18 in the stockpile, but just 18, or is that supposed to be 180? Or, because I'll tell you what, people, that many factories making infantry equipment is going to make more than 35 rifles. Yeah, I know, and hand grenades, and but are pouches uniforms or pouches rifles? And then we do have the machine gun as a separate thing here. So, wanton warfare equipment and that's anti-air machine guns that are sort of silly. Yeah, these machine gun 2s. That many factories, that many production lines making just 34 a day. Now that's got to be like 340 rifles a day or some sort of fraction thereof, I guess. I haven't quite in and looked how many you need for a division. Figuring roughly every guy in a division has a rifle, even if that's not your job to shoot it, just because things go to hell. So everyone has a rifle or a carbine, and this is called a carbine, so everybody has one. So everyone has a rifle, virtually speaking, or a submachine gun or whatever. Yeah, I know. But all the artillery guys all have rifles. I mean, their job is to shoot the artillery pieces, but they all have rifles. So that I take to be representative of, just a, 340 a day or something. And I'm good with that. That you don't necessarily have to have 1 rifle per man. But the aircraft, to me, just need to up industry. Yeah, I know, but production is why I changed the Total War Mobilization mod. Okay, Lord Wanderer, and I may look at that mod someday. I'll see if it's 180. It would stay. Oh, yeah, I would think so too. But it just seems like 1 factory in the U.S. peak production of 100,000 rifles in a month alone. Yeah, now that's the U.S. and that's at peak war production. And how big is that factory? Is it 1 production line or 3 production lines? To get 100,000 in a month? Yes. And so, but all of that to just get 34 a day, 340 a day out of all of that, that seems reasonable. And, even like, and again, that would be probably for Aries example, that's 24/7 production because they, get night shifts, weekend shifts, turn the factory on, have the factory go all the time. Where this is probably, 8-hour, 10-hour days, probably max, 5 days a week, one production crew doing this at peacetime. So that's partially meant to be national policies down here. What levels of mobilization for industry, and I haven't really even looked into this yet. Here, that you sort of the same number of factories produces a lot more, kind of thing, and I do get that, but it just even in a civilian. The Springfield Armory, right? Yes, and Peak, yes, yeah, I know, but one factory is one factory complex, but how many production lines were producing rifles? Did they have just one machine making barrels, or were there 40 machines next to each other making rifle barrels? And so factory is, is a complex, both as a complex of buildings, as well as for here is not necessarily 3 different locations. It's just a factory with 3 production lines is sort of how I'm taking this, or possibly 3 different locations, each with their own production line. But to me, that seems. And sure, twin engine cycles take one more engine than a single engine fighter, and yeah, there's more bits and pieces to make. Yeah, but still, it seems to be a lot more. It just seems to me. 2 tanks a week also seems a bit slow for that, and 3 tanks a week for those. Yeah, it just seems a bit slow. This is the case that you would have to drastically adjust equipment onto your army to make up for the mass production. I assume it also is done to not slow the game down in a sense of simulating 2,000 planes a lot easier than 20,000. Yeah, and so I just don't know what their thinking is. I mean, if somebody from them wants to talk up to me about it, I'm happily to do it. Okay, Australia rejects suggestion of returning Germany's colonies. I saw this before. Rejected the possibility of returning German colonies. Who's asked them to? The country's government issued a statement emphasizing the importance of national security. Okay. Okay. Well, I guess if Australia did say this, I just wondered who was asking them to. Was it the Reich Colonial Bund or something else? I wish I had from a German perspective a little bit more. The medium bomber, likely 1/4 in a fighter. Yeah, I get that. Okay, so if we had one more line, it's doing 2 a month for yeah, because one more would probably be 2 a month, roughly. 1 a week. Yeah, okay. Between the 2 percentages, it isn't so bad. But rivets or whatever that they're putting the thing together isn't really that much different in making more rivets. Well, I thought I am playing with NATO. These do have their divisional symbols for the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd Panzer next to the NATO symbols. So to me, this is NATO symbols. And, this is a garrison infantry unit, and, division, brigade, to me, this is NATO. I don't know what is not NATO about this. Okay, the ships, yeah, whatever. Not having I don't even know if there are NATO symbols for ships. As types. for that stuff. So yeah, I thought I'm playing. Oh, if you're talking about the big guys and tanks here, well, unfortunately, not all the information is put on the counter. That arrow is not on the counter. I mean, yes, I see the little moving arrow there, but not like which way is it moving or whatnot. So yeah, I still sort of, to be able to click on these things, need to have the big models, if that's what you're talking about. And a lot of when I'm playing, I'm looking like this, so I don't even see them. Oh, we can start building more civilian factories. Now is the time to build civilian factories to get things up and in production. Well, I guess here. I have told people for years that now, no one, because I know I don't have the biggest voice in even the Hearts of Iron community. If you want NATO counters, proper Hearts of Iron 3 style NATO counters, you can have them in Hearts of Iron 4 if you really want them. You can do it. Because they made them. They informed me they made Hearts of Iron 3 style counters for Hearts of Iron 4. The problem is this 3D map that they have here. And if you notice, buildings and objects, I guess the train tracks do get to sort of ride over the hills, but you'll see sometimes guys being stood inside of mountains, buildings like this factory halfway covered up. The 3D style counters did not look good with the 3D, or the old style counters, the 2D counters, or the traditional counters, however you want to say it, did not look good with this 3D map. No one has made a 2D map yet. I think, and unfortunately, Podcat has moved on. The people that I sort of knew, I think, have moved on. I've probably lost that's railway sort of hanging out in the air there a little bit, looks like. I probably lost most of my influence. I'm no longer on the beta testers, but I would raise gently, but holy hell, to get them to add in the traditional 3D counters. But first, someone needs to make this map, or make the standard map. Start with the standard map, but make it in 2D. Make it in 2D. So the buildings are 2D buildings. 2D icons that sit flat on a map. Everything works in 2D, and you can make. Well, is there? Please, Ari, find it and show it. Don't worry about now, but put it in my Discord server, Ari. Some other time. Don't worry about it now. But if you make a flat 2D map, and that should be compatible even with multiplayer because it's client side and not server side is for the display. If you make a good 2D map, now I don't know about icons or things like for this is maybe eye candy that could just go away for the rails because that really isn't necessarily a thing. And you still have maybe 3D ships and then the aircraft whirling around, which I don't mind the aircraft so much, and I don't mind the ships because ships are big, huge objects, where a division is an organization of men spread around on the ground. But I would definitely try to. Now you can just remove the sprites, yes, but the sprites do carry a certain amount of information that is not focused on the counters, and though these counters seem to be a bit better than some of the others. So you can, if somebody were to take the time to make make the graphics. So you got to make 2D graphics that look acceptable, that they wouldn't, whether it's sold as a DLC or just as a mod, but something that wouldn't shame them. So your 2D graphics for hills, 2D graphics for mountains, for forests, for deserts, for whatever. make 2D graphics, and whether for factories or for fortifications or whatever, make the whole thing a 2D map. Then I think we could possibly talk them into, and had it been a few years ago, I'm sure I could have talked them into releasing the codes for modders to get in, and not just standard players, but for modders to implement, so that you would have to, with a 2D map mod, combine it that way and do that. So they made them. They exist. The old style counters exist in some files, as far as I know. Do you know troops standing in snowy regions? Yeah, yes. Desert and snow does get units do get acclimatized. Yes. So yes, so you can do a 3D, or a Hearts of Iron style 3 counters. That could be done in this game. And I am surprised after all of this time, and I know I've talked about it, as someone to take the time. I'm not good enough of a computer graphics person to want to go in and rebuild the map in it. And I'm talking graphically, rebuild it in a 2D form that still sort of looks good, that still works enough. Okay. Yes. All right. Again, got to click twice. It seems like, all right. Well, I don't know if I should start with this one, because civilian construction speed, we're primarily focusing on civilians, though it does cost us oil to keep that going. So I don't know, wood gasifiers. Catalytic cracking. Well, that would help long term, or also resource gain efficiency, which also would help oil as well as other things, but oil is the main resource. I think we will. Okay, this is quicker. We'll start with this. Ecuador supports Italy. Oh, well. League of Nations condemns Austrian militarism. Okay. They're condemning Austrian militarism, but that's one of the few things that might sort of keep Germany from taking over Austria. And you're condemning it? How smart is that? Let's see now. If we were to try this now. Okay, now, see, it was like 800 days before. I don't know why. But now it's just 290. So, yes, we want to be able to invade Norway and whatnot at some point. So, let's do that. May have been... Okay. The Chinese government has put our industrial advisors to good use, employing German-led teams. Right. Okay. Now, we now have that. And let's come over here. Again, we need to sort of double-click that. Now, this is... eventually, we want to get to Kuba wagons. I don't know. Kuba wagons should be just sort of a little more efficient and a lot cheaper to build, because they were primarily the cheapest thing to build. I love the Holy Three, which is more detailed. You see more rivers and provinces than Hoi 4. Now, again, and Arno is right. I think it's partially an AI issue. I think it is partially a computer power, computing power, not how much electricity your computer uses, but how much computing power you have. They limited the maximum amount of provinces in Hearts of Iron 3, partially based on computing power. Too many provinces would make the AI need to compute too many more things, but also because nations like the Netherlands here, if you give them too many provinces, because the AI will want to defend the border instead of, say, defend the shortest possible defense line, defend here and defend along here, and maybe some of it might be the border and forget about here or something like that. It defends the border because the AI sucks. Now, it's still, I say that because it does suck compared to a human player. I don't know if somebody else has made better AIs that for this scale of a game, but still. That I counted up, and it was for the Netherlands between, and I don't know how much Black Ice has changed. They have changed the map, obviously, because you have East Berlin, West Berlin, and then the greater regions and whatnot. So it has changed the map. I don't know how much. But the standard game, I counted fairly early on, there is half the number of provinces in the Netherlands here in Hearts of Iron 4 than Hearts of Iron 3. So what it does do is it means the AI doesn't have to, have as big a border to defend. But it also means you as the player have less tactical finesse. It's more bashing your heads against each other. It's less, ability to focus in and flank and punch in deeper and flank around. So, now there's actually more provinces, I do believe, overall in Hearts, and a bunch of them have been wasted out here because they're goddamn stupid. Oh no, our thing works. No, it doesn't. Our thing works. No, it doesn't. The playtesters, it works. It doesn't work. Yes, it does. No, it doesn't. Yes, it does. They couldn't admit that all of this was a waste because the AI won't send troops that'll be starving to death here, but the AI always sent troops to be starving to death across here. So they finally gave us this block out here. So all of these provinces could go away because nothing ever happens there, or just make a few mega provinces. But what they've done is in their little alt history AI minds, reduce or increase the number of provinces out here. Yeah, and that's fine, and that's cool and all and whatnot. And if I really wanted to fight a massive war out in the Amazon jungle, well, I could do so. There isn't a limiting thing there. But yeah, in places where it really doesn't matter for World War II, they've given us more provinces and reduced the provinces in many places that do matter. Partially, again, I think it's for their crappy AI so that the Belgium or Netherlands or whoever can defend themselves better, but it does weaken it. So with more, and I have a very high-end computer here. I don't mean anything super high-end, but definitely in the top probably 5% of computers for personal home computers. And a lot of you don't have that, I understand, but I'm a fanatic with this and going to spend my money to get this kind of stuff. My computer could handle a mix of the Hearts of Iron 3 and Hearts of Iron 4 map with enough provinces and do it better. And it would be better with the Hoi 3 map or a mix of both. I wouldn't mind adding a few more provinces to some secondary, or I would say Latin America, and especially internal Latin America, not just things on the edge that you might invade a little bit, are, trinary or quad, fourth level down from importance of theaters. Okay, so we've got the heads of all of the military branches done here. Hitler's speeches, 14 days for political power. Not that that's bad. That's a bad trade-off. But what I really want to start doing here is move towards that, which is 32 days. And okay, we've completed. Oh, we have to. Well, after April 22nd. So what we're going to do is we're going to let this go for 10 days because we will have 10 days stored up. This will progress here. We may lose a day or two of progress, but oh well. Nothing is perfect. Let's do air paratroopers. Research that. So because I love equipment production. And a game I designed basically in my head back in the early 90s, that for a computer game someday, when computers finally got to be something good someday, definitely had the idea of equipment production and not just unit production. Okay, now we have, we got to do this. Now, again, you can't research this because this lacks a lot of modules. So we have to put together a thing, and I did that the other day, so we will do that very shortly. This is, okay, well, we'll save it for this. But we also have the 109 Model Bs. I think because it's slow, but it will be less dramatic of a change to upgrade the various models of 109s. So let's get over to 109 production right now. Now, let's do this. We need to come here, and this also can work as a tutorial. Hello, Cheeto. How you doing? In this game, I love playing starts, but micromanaging part of this game, and learning curve is much higher compared to most strategy games I've played in my life. So, well, Cheeto, yes, the learning curve can be hard. I like to micromanage because I come from a old tabletop playing where obviously you had to micromanage everything because there were no computers, in a tabletop game. There are, drawing front lines and battle plans and whatnot if you want to do it. But I get you. It is a learning curve. I think the learning curve is worth it. Now, I come from playing Hearts of Iron 3, which is even a steeper learning curve. But I hear you. So you're not wrong. It's just something whether you want to. Which it's two things. It's, do you want to spend the time to learn it? And two, once you've learned it, would you enjoy playing it? Some people. This is why there's, Axis and Allies. And then there's games like Strategic Command, World War II. They have just the European theater, war in Europe, and they have, the global war. If you want a more simplified war game, there's reasons for all the different levels of wargaming. So I guess find your happy place is my best advice, and happy to have you here as watching if you just want to watch it and hear me blather about history. Okay, what they do here, and this is the new thing. This is not wrong. I don't want to make it out that I'm sounding that it's wrong. I have talked earlier, and I still agree with myself that I don't want to force players to have to make the historical mistakes that were made in World War II. Like, we can talk about Tankettes. The Panzer I, and I would also argue the Panzer II, are Tankettes. Because they're just all named Panzers, we sort of lump them in together as tanks. But they're really Tankettes. One of the worst Tankettes out there is the CV-33 Italian two little machine guns. The machine guns are crap. They doesn't have a turret. And some other Tankettes, the Polish TKS, didn't have a turret. I don't know which is more crap, the Polish one or the Italian one. We'd have to look at detailed stats to figure some of that out, but they're both pretty bad. Tankettes are damn useful. I would say that they're still useful today. The U.S., never in World War II really had a tankette, though they had sort of, I would say, to a point, dual functions in there. The Germans did to a lesser degree in their half-tracks. More common to see a 50 cal on a half-track becomes a sort of dual purpose in that while it's carrying troops, it's a armored troop carrier. But once it deploys its troops, it sort of becomes a tankette. The German armored half-track does have a 30 caliber machine gun on it, but it's a big target. If you get it too close to the enemy, you're just going to get it lost, and it isn't really that useful. And so it's sort of kind of, but then they of course stick the other guns on it. But does that make it a fire support vehicle? So it's arguable. We could argue over some of that. I'm not saying it's hard and fast, but tankettes still have their purpose today. The problem is, and I forget who pointed it out last time when we were playing the game, and I mentioned that out, is where they really fall down is when you try to use them as tanks or in lieu of tanks. If you don't have tanks and you're using a tankette as a tank, that's where you have the problem. Okay, so we're going to go here, and you need to do this out. I would prefer a and again, I'm not saying this is not wrong. I'm just talking about my preference. Okay, I think they want me to. Okay, that gets rid of that thing. Would be simply to have the historical models be here, but I am not saying it is wrong. I looked this up on, I think it was 180. On, I used the Panzer IIc of War Thunder to look up some of these different things, like, well, I knew some of the stuff. It's a welded turret. A lot of the side stuff is 15, some of the front, but some of the primary front is 20, so I'm going with the 20 millimeter to try to, and I'm going to go with the intermediate, I think, as opposed to frontal. Balance coverage is spread out a little too much. If you notice, max speed goes way down, too much armor on the sides. Give everything frontal focus, no armor on the sides, and whatnot. Here, intermediate, so it slows it down a little bit. I don't really know exactly whether frontal focus or intermediate would be the closest to historical. We're going to do welded armor. Flat, yeah, we're doing that. I guess we're going to go standard gearbox. Clutch brake front drive, clutch brake rear drive. I don't know. I really, quite honestly, we don't need twin drive, I don't think. I don't know. Hello, Frog Eyes. How are you? If you click on that icon at the top of the production tab, it'll do pre-made tanks. Okay. Okay. Here? Ah. Okay. I did not know that this was a thing here. Thank you. Again, I am new to this version of Black Ice. I did not know. Thank you, Frog Ice. That saves me a lot of... Okay, great. This saves me a lot of time. Differential frontal, you can just unlock his door. Okay, I did not know that this even existed. Thank you. Now we know this exists. So we will grab up the historical Panzer A. I did sort of was building the Panzer C in stats, just because that's what I had immediate access to. So there we go. So now we have, oh no, actually no, cancel this. I don't want that. What I want to do here is, and I'm really glad they did this. Again, there's so much I'm loving about this game, and I'm really now happy that they've given me both the ability to tweak out tanks, or do the historical. I'm just going to do the historical. So we're going to take this obsolete line and we're going to start producing Panzer IIAs. Okay, I couldn't find one, which I think is really weird. I swear a few years back I saw one. I could not, I mean, a few years back I was watching pretty closely. I mean, I'm not saying, and at least that I know of one that was completed. Yeah, Frog Eyes, how do you model for a strategy game, not a tactical, War Thunder, or even a, something like close combat or whatever, where the tank is modeled the tank and it depends on where it gets hit. With the enemy shooting at it, modeling it out in details. How do you model out how effective these tanks are in a strategy game? Because side shots versus front shots versus what, we have to sort of kind of just do something that's sort of close to historical kind of thing and do that. And I'm just sort of going to trust that somebody has taken a reasonable amount of time, knew the system, and made reasonable choices. May not be perfect. I normally don't get upset with, I'm part of my job here is a long review of this game and talk about where I either know or believe that things are a little off. And doesn't mean I don't want to play it, doesn't mean I don't recommend it. It just means I believe things are a little off at times. So we're still waiting for, 4 more days before we can do that. Hello, Sir Suspicious. No, I'm not with the Cabal, please. It's so hard for me to... Well, I hope, because I'm learning about it, I hope through watching my videos, you will learn things like I just learned. And that's sort of why I pinged over. I don't know if anybody's come over from the Discord server on Black Ice, but to have some people here to help me over things like that, to help you over stuff. Oh, wow. Oh, boy. I have not been paying attention over on Rumble. Hello. Oh, let me try to read this. Hello. Merkringinata. And thank you very much for the super chats. I can see you. I was sort of watching, but not paying close enough attention over there, because I am streaming on Twitch, YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. All are live streaming, and I'm trying to pay attention to most of them. And sorry, I did not see you. I really appreciate the super chats. I really do. Hopefully I'm entertaining. So hello over there. Even the real world is off at times. Well, yes, of course. Certainly, I definitely try it myself after watching this. Well, very good. So some basic education here. And I know I'm going to be making mistakes. Argentina calls into question Italian East Africa. Okay. Don't know why Argentina really cares. No, we're not going to make the Neubaufahrzeug. Sorry, Arno. Okay, now the date has passed, so we can select the 4-year plan. The Neubaufahrzeug is a remnant of somewhere between World War I and the 1920s, when bigger didn't necessarily mean more armor, and that artillery pieces or big anti-tank guns were going to be sort of hard to maneuver about the battlefield, and all you really sort of kind of needed was to stop anti-tank rifles, the T-Gewehr and those kinds of things. And beyond that, you didn't have to do too much to, to protect yourself. That would get... Okay, he would be sort of good if we're going to try to rescue operatives. I will quite admit, I don't play the spy game as well as maybe I should. I think some of the spying stuff, and I don't know about Black Ice because I figure they may have tweaked it. We're going to let both of these people sort of keep enemy agents away for now, getting out of my ignorance. They may have tweaked it some, but are a combination of, and then we can look at some of these. Oh, I hope that doesn't get me demonetized. Some of the, coups and other things are maybe overly powerful, but too few of agents. I would like agents to be, or things to be a little less effective, shall we say, but 10 times might be a bit too much. Well, no, running about 20 agents right now, 10 times this number, and playing a spy game mixed in with this stuff, to have 2 or 3 agents in France, 2 or 3 agents in Britain, an agent in the Soviet Union, an agent out in America, a bunch of different agents running around that had effects and did stuff, but weren't overly, weren't super effective. That would be fun. No, we got to play this sort of seriously. I am waiting for the Spain to blow up here.